Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, fellow wanderers of this vast and murmuring earth, there comes a time, as the wind turns a leaf and the river bends a stone, when a soul must come to know its name. Not the name the world etched in birth certificates, or the one called out in crowded rooms, but the name whispered in dreams and shouted in silences. You, yes, you listening now, are not here by chance. You are not ordinary, though you have walked roads where your light was dimmed by the fear of others. You are not average, though you have bowed your head to survive their storms. You, chosen one, have been selected by time and truth, and tremble to do something only you can do. And the world, oh, the world will not clap for you when you first begin. It does not greet destiny with trumpets or triumph. No, it scoffs, it whispers, it demands explanation, it wants proof, and then more proof, and then your soul in a glass jar for it to poke and prod. But I tell you this, not in arrogance, not in sweetness, but in clarity. You owe it no explanation. The fire you carry was not lit to warm strangers' hands. The vision you hold was not drawn to be traced by doubting fingers. You were born to be exact and quiet, radiant and still. And so I say to you now, chosen one, focus on yourself, and stay silent. Not the silence of fear. No, not the silence of shame or invisibility. I am speaking of the silence that sings, the silence that roots mountains in place, and teaches lions when to crouch low, the silence that says, I know who I am, and I do not need to shout it across valleys to be sure. When a seed falls into the soil, it makes no announcement. It does not wave a banner as it splits in the darkness, sends its fingers down into the cold. But in that stillness, oh, in that stillness, it becomes, not because it is watched, not because it is praised, but because it is called. There are seasons meant for speaking, yes, and for gathering, and for dancing in the full light of your becoming. But do not confuse this world's hunger for noise with your own need for direction. Sometimes the holiest thing you can do is be still and build in secret. And focus, dear one, with the intensity of stars that burn for 1,000 years before their light ever reaches our eyes. Focus, not in selfishness, but in sacred obedience. There is a difference. Selfishness grabs and devours. Focus listens, until it understands what must be done, and then it does it, whether the world is watching or not. To focus on yourself is not to turn your back on others. It is to turn your face fully toward your calling. It is to say, I cannot save every drowning soul, but I can keep myself from sinking. I can build a raft. I can chart a course. And when I am ready, when the time is true, I will return for others, not as a savior, but as a lighthouse. We live in a world that celebrates the broadcast. Post it, announce it, declare it before it is formed. Say it louder so they know you mean it. But when have you known the eagle to cry out its path before it flies? When has the oak tree sent invitations to its blooming? Why then, chosen one, must you explain what the sacred has told you in private? There is strength in silence that cannot be taught. It must be lived, and I know it is hard. I know there will be days when the noise seems a river and your silence a stone. But remember this, stones shape rivers more than rivers shape stone. Over time your stillness will carve new paths, new canyons, new possibilities. And you will be tempted, yes, you will, to prove yourself, to argue, to defend, to let them know you were right. But I urge you, resist that temptation. Let your becoming be your answer. Let your peace be your revolution. Let your growth be so mighty, so undeniable, that they must rearrange their vision just to contain your shadow. I say again, focus on yourself. Nourish your body like it is temple and tide. Read words that stretch your spine and break your yesterdays. Surround yourself with those who see you, not as competition but as constellation. And do the work, oh do the work, in quiet, in honesty, in reverence. You are not called to be busy, you are called to be aligned. And when you are aligned, you do not have to chase anything. What is meant for you does not need to be begged for. It recognizes you, it bows to your preparation, but you must be prepared. You must be ready, not with noise, not with declarations, but with clarity. A clarity that cannot be disturbed by gossip or distraction. It will not be easy. There will be days when the silence feels like a curse and the focus like a burden. There will be moments when you want to yell your truth from rooftops, to remind the world that you matter. But trust me when I say your existence is already proof. You were written into this universe on purpose. You do not need to convince anyone. You need only to become. I have walked roads where my name was misspelled, where my light was mistaken for arrogance, where my silence was seen as contempt. But I learned that clarity is not cruelty, and privacy is not pride. Some things are too sacred for public consumption. Some things must be grown in hidden gardens. Some dreams require silence to bloom. To the young ones listening, full of questions, aching for direction, I say this: do not confuse movement with progress. Do not wear yourself thin trying to be seen. Wear yourself whole by learning to see. The more you see yourself clearly, the less you will need others to explain you to yourself. The more you understand your worth, the less you will bargain for crumbs of recognition. To the elders, the seasoned, the weathered ones, I honor you. Your silence is not your defeat. It is your wisdom. You have learned what is worth speaking, and what is better carried in spirit. Do not let a noisy world make you doubt the power of your restraint. You are not behind. You are deep, and deep waters do not rush. To all who feel forgotten, underestimated, misunderstood, listen closely. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. You are not underestimated. You are underestimated by those who cannot yet see, and that is their limitation, not your failure. Let them misunderstand. Let them look away. You do not owe them your becoming. You owe that to yourself. Because one day, and it may not be soon, but it will be sure, you will emerge. And when you do, it will not be with fanfare or frenzy. It will be with force. Quiet, steady force. The kind that moves mountains not by shouting at them but by becoming something bigger. So rise, not with noise, but with intention. Rise, not with revenge, but with resolve. Rise, not to prove, but to be. And as you rise, stay silent. Stay silent not because you are weak, but because you are listening. Listening to the wind that knows your name. Listening to the fire that says, not yet, but soon. Listening to the still small voice that does not yell, but leads. Stay silent not forever, but until it is time. Because when it is time, you will not need to announce yourself. The doors will open, the path will clear, and those who doubted will fall silent in your presence. That is the power of the chosen, not in being louder, but in being truer, in being unwavering, in being certain of who you are, even when the world is not. So, chosen one, I leave you with this, not as a warning but as a blessing. Do not dilute your light for those who fear the sun. Do not trade your calling for applause. Do not rush what is meant to be sacred. Be still, be sure, be silent, and be ready. Because when you rise, when you truly rise, there will be no need to say a word. The world will listen anyway, and still the path continues. Still there is more to say, not in volume but in depth. For the life of the chosen is not one of ease, nor is it always sweet. It is not always accompanied by soft pillows or nods of approval. Often it is the harder path, the quieter room, the lonely corridor. But I urge you not to mistake loneliness for abandonment. There is a sanctity in being alone that cannot be found in the noise of the crowd. Aloneness can be a furnace. It burns away what is not essential. It purifies. It teaches you to stand tall with no eyes watching. And when you can do that, when you can rise in the silence, when you can move forward, even when there is no hand holding yours, you become unshakable. You are no longer tethered to the need for validation. You are no longer swayed by the shifting winds of opinion. And here is where your power begins. You will begin to notice that your steps feel heavier, more intentional. You will find that you no longer rush into rooms just to be seen. You enter when you are ready, when your presence means something. You stop trying to belong everywhere and start nurturing the rare places where you truly fit. That is the mark of the chosen. They do not run after the crowd. They walk toward their calling. They do not perform their growth for applause. They transform in the silence and let their life speak when the time comes. It is easy to want to show them, those who doubted, who laughed, who ignored. It is easy to want to make a declaration, I have arrived. But when you truly arrive, there is no need to say it. Your light tells the story. Your discipline writes the testimony. Your peace is the punctuation. So instead of proving, build. Build yourself from the inside out. Build habits that serve the future you. Build relationships rooted in truth, not transaction. Build a home inside your own chest, so that no matter where you go, you carry safety with you. That kind of self-work, the real kind, is slow. It does not happen overnight. It is not loud, but it is lasting. It is not perfect, but it is pure. And the world may not understand it. That is not your concern. What is sacred to you does not need to be legible to others. Now listen closely, because this part is hard to live, but crucial to remember. Not everyone can go with you. Not everyone can see what you see. Not everyone is meant to. You will lose people on this path. Friends will fall away. Lovers will leave. Some will mock you as you choose discipline over drama, silence over spectacle, peace over performance. Let them go, with grace, with gratitude, and without bitterness. Release them because you must make room for what is coming. You cannot receive what is divine if your hands are full of distraction. You cannot climb if your back is bent under the weight of needing to be liked. Let go of the hunger to be understood by everyone. You were not made for the masses. You were made for the message. Yours, singular, true, sacred. And that message will not resonate with every ear, nor should it. Those who are meant to hear it will hear it, even if you say nothing at all. There is power in mystery, in withholding, in becoming so whole within yourself that your silence speaks louder than their noise. The chosen one is not arrogant. They are anchored, not aloof, but aligned, and their focus becomes their shield. You must protect your focus, because once you begin to see clearly, once you commit to building without needing to be seen, people will sense the shift. Some will be inspired, others will be threatened. Let them feel what they feel. That is their work. Yours is to continue. And if you're wondering why this work matters, why your silence and self-focus could change anything, let me tell you this. You are not just becoming for yourself. You are becoming for everyone who will come after you. For the little girl who will look at you and say, so that's what power looks like. For the tired soul who has been told to shout and scream just to be heard, and who will see your stillness and know there is another way. Every step you take toward your truth gives someone else permission to do the same. Every time you choose to go deeper instead of louder, you create a path for someone weary of the noise. Every time you stay silent, not out of fear, but out of strength, you shift the atmosphere, quietly, but permanently. And that is the legacy of the chosen. Not a life filled with followers, but a life filled with fruit. Not a path paved with praise, but a journey lit by purpose. Not fame, but fulfillment. You will find that when you focus, truly focus, not just on tasks or goals, but on becoming aligned, honest, deeply present in your life, the right things begin to find you, not instantly, but inevitably. Opportunities begin to make sense, patterns emerge, clarity sharpens, and people who once drained you no longer interest you. It's not magic, it's maturity. The kind of maturity that comes when you realize that nothing outside of you can complete what is missing within. That no stage, spotlight, or crowd can give you the peace that silence and self-work can provide. Let me speak now to the fire in you, the one that flickers when you are alone. The one that kept you moving even when no one clapped. That fire is sacred. Protect it. Don't burn it out trying to keep others warm. Don't let their coldness dim your flame. That fire is your birthright, your power. It is ancient, it is divine, and it grows best in quiet, tended not by performance but by presence. So stoke it, feed it, with rest, with truth, with boundaries, with books, with prayer, with art, with laughter that rises from the belly, not the need to please. And as that fire grows, so will you. You will begin to understand that the real work was never about them. It was always about you. Learning to stay, even when it's hard. Learning to say no, even when it would be easier to say yes. Learning to wait, even when your hunger claws at your ribs. Learning to trust, deeply trust, that what is meant for you will arrive on time, and that if it is not here, it is not time. This is not passive. This is not lazy faith. This is a warrior's discipline. To choose presence over panic. To choose silence over self-sabotage. To choose alignment over attention. And yes, it will cost you. Anything worth becoming always does. But it will gift you things the world cannot take away. Integrity, peace, wholeness. A love for yourself so deep that even when they leave you remain full. A confidence so rooted that even in loss you do not lose yourself. A clarity so sharp that even in chaos you know what matters. You will walk differently, speak less but mean more. You will hear your own voice with new ears. You will weep, not from weakness but from the weight of becoming. And you will laugh, not to entertain but to celebrate your survival. And you will notice how much quieter the world becomes, not because it has stopped spinning, but because you are no longer dizzy in its spin. You have found center, your own center, and from that center you can create work that matters, connections that heal, a life that feels like a sanctuary, not a show. And that, dear one, is where your power becomes undeniable, not because you shouted, not because you demanded, but because you focused. Because you stayed silent, because you became. And if ever again you are tempted to doubt, if the world grows loud again, if your steps feel unsure, return to this truth. You are not here to convince. You are here to complete the work that only you were born to do. So let them talk, let them guess, let them wonder. And while they do, you build, you grow, you listen, you wait, you focus, and you stay silent. Until one day, not loudly but surely, you will rise, not for their applause, but for your purpose. And on that day your silence will not be empty. It will be full of lessons, full of power, full of a life lived in sacred obedience to the call inside you. And they will see, oh they will see, but by then you will no longer need them to, because you will have become everything you were meant to be. And that chosen one is more than enough, not because the silence has ended, but because within it more truths rise to be spoken. Not everything needs to be shared aloud, yet some things must be said, not for the sake of volume, but for the nourishment of those who walk with open hearts and weary minds, trying to understand what it means to be chosen, and why they must carry that responsibility so quietly. Let me speak now to the ones who wonder if their restraint has made them invisible, to those who have watched others be rewarded for shouting, while you have been shaping yourself in shadows. Hear me when I tell you, nothing of real worth blooms before its time, and though you may not yet see the harvest, your labor has not been lost. The seeds you planted in silence are germinating beneath the surface, responding to the rhythm of a divine timing not written on any calendar. The chosen life does not follow the clock of the world. It obeys a deeper law, one that whispers rather than shouts, one that calls for stillness when everything else calls for speed. And if you can listen, if you can honor that rhythm, you will not be late, you will not be forgotten, you will be right on time for the life that is meant for you. This path asks more from you than others are asked to give. It demands discipline, where others indulge, discernment where others drift, silence where others perform. You are called to hold yourself to a higher standard, not because you are better, but because you are being prepared to bear more. And bearing more requires a foundation that cannot be shaken by applause, or shattered by criticism. That foundation is built in silence. It is built when no one is watching, when the lights are low and the nights are long. It is built when you choose to keep your promise to yourself, even when there is no one to hold you accountable. It is built when you speak kindly to yourself, even on the days when progress is invisible. It is built when you love the work more than you crave the reward, Some will not understand this. Some will mistake your quiet for weakness, your restraint for lack of ambition. They are measuring you with the wrong scale. Do not internalize their misunderstanding. Do not shrink yourself to meet their expectations. The eagle does not explain its altitude to the sparrow. It simply flies. You do not owe anyone your strategy, only your truth. You do not owe anyone a performance, only your integrity. You do not owe anyone access to your becoming, if they will not honor the cost of your transformation, and make no mistake, it is a cost. You will leave behind not just people, but versions of yourself. You will outgrow your own comfort. You will feel the ache of shedding what is familiar to step into what is real. But chosen ones do not walk backward. You may pause, you may stumble, you may even weep in the silence, but you do not retreat. You honor the process, you honor the pain, because you know that both are shaping you into something too deep for shallow waters. In this world so many things are loud but hollow. You are being called to be quiet and full of conviction, full of courage, full of vision that stretches beyond today's horizon, full of grace, not just for others but for yourself, because you will get it wrong, you will falter, you will question your path. That does not disqualify you, it refines you. The chosen are not perfect, they are persistent, they are not flawless, they are faithful to their calling, and they return to it again and again, even when doubt bangs on the door like a storm. They return to their silence, not to escape the world, but to hear the voice that guides them through it. There is an intelligence in the quiet that noise cannot teach, a strength that comes only when you are not trying to be seen. That kind of strength is not brittle. It bends but does not break. It weathers disappointment without bitterness. It receives praise without addiction. It moves forward not for claps, but because forward is where truth is found. You are learning to live from a different center now, not from ego or approval but from alignment. And when you live from alignment, your decisions change. You no longer say yes just to be liked. You no longer say no just to appear strong. You say what is true. You do what is right, even when it costs you something, especially then. And people may not know what to do with you. You will feel at times like a foreign language in a room that only speaks noise. You will feel at times like your silence makes others uncomfortable. But their discomfort is not your burden. It is the friction between truth and pretense. Do not soften your truth to soothe their unease. Let your life lived in quiet clarity do what it came to do. You do not need to fight every battle. You do not need to answer every doubt. You do not need to defend your becoming. You only need to keep becoming, in silence, with focus, with humility and fire braided together in your chest. There is no greater rebellion in a noisy world than to become whole in silence, to return to yourself, to know your worth without external confirmation, to walk into a room and not need it to validate you, because you have already been validated by your own journey. And yes, you will still ache. You will still wonder at times if the silence has forgotten you, but it has not. It has been building you. It has been preparing you. It has been teaching you to trust what cannot be seen. That trust, deep unwavering trust, is the root of power. When you trust your journey, you no longer panic in delay. When you trust your pace, you no longer compare your path to others. When you trust your voice, you no longer need to raise it to be heard. And when you live like that, rooted, silent, focused, you become undeniable, not because you chase after attention, but because your energy speaks for itself. Not because you strive, but because you are aligned. And alignment cannot be faked. It resonates, it vibrates, it draws the right things to you, and repels the things that are not for you. That is the fruit of silence, not absence but presence. Not avoidance but awareness. Not fear but fullness. So let the world spin. Let them talk. Let them wonder where you've gone. You have gone inward. You have gone deeper. You have gone to build what can only be built in stillness. And one day, when it is time, not when it is easy or convenient or impressive, but when it is time, you will rise. And the rising will not be dramatic, it will be deliberate. The way a tide comes in, the way the moon appears, certain, soft, irrefutable, and you will not need to say, "Look at me now," you will simply live. And that life whole, disciplined, true, will say everything. So stay the course, chosen one. Hold the silence like a lantern. Guard your focus like a flame. And keep becoming. Because when the moment comes, when your purpose calls your name and the world sees what you have been building in the dark, they will not see silence as absence anymore. They will see it for what it always was. Preparation, sacred, necessary, holy, and you, beloved, will be ready. And so we walk still further along this road, the air quiet with meaning, the silence pulsing with the truth that's been with us all along. We do not turn back, we do not rush, we do not speak unless the moment requires. We keep to the rhythm that has brought us this far, a rhythm that does not demand we be the loudest voice in the room to be heard, but insists we be the truest. There is a dignity in that, a kind of royalty that does not wear a crown of gold, but one of self-mastery. The chosen one is not one who declares their arrival, but one who prepares their presence, who steps into each space with reverence, not entitlement, with stillness, not show, with substance, not spectacle. And that presence, yours, cultivated in silence, tempered by solitude, is rare. It disrupts the ordinary by simply existing. It commands attention not by performance, but by depth. It is not easily explained, nor should it be. The world is hungry for authenticity, and you, having dared to focus and stay silent, are now carrying what many are still searching for. Do not shrink from that. Do not apologize for your growth. Do not contort yourself to make others more comfortable with the space you now occupy. You did not become for applause, you became because your soul required it. Because staying small was no longer sustainable. Because pretending to be less than you are was exhausting the breath from your lungs. You chose the harder way, and now you walk taller. Not in arrogance but in alignment. And even now, as the fruits of your labor begin to show, stay vigilant. There will be temptations still, to speak prematurely, to explain yourself when silence would suffice, to prove your worth when your presence already whispers it. But remember, there is wisdom in the quiet. The tree does not shout its height. The ocean does not announce its depth. They simply are. And you, having rooted yourself in purpose, need not shout either. You need only be. There will be moments when you are invited to react. Do not. Choose response instead. Response born of reflection, not reactivity. Response that holds space for your dignity and theirs. This too is the work of the chosen. To not be ruled by ego or emotion, but guided by principle and purpose. Let your silence be the canvas where truth paints its most honest strokes. There is a strength in restraint, a power in pause. In that space between impulse and action the future is shaped. And those who have learned to linger there, to listen, to discern, to wait, are the ones who lead not just by title but by presence. And leadership, true leadership, is not about followers. It is about influence. And influence does not require a stage. It requires authenticity, consistency, the quiet courage to live what you speak, to embody what you believe, even when no one is watching. Especially then, you will find that the more you focus, the more you begin to see, not just with your eyes but with your spirit. You will begin to read between words, to hear what is unsaid. You will sense when to speak, and when to stay still. This is the gift of silence. It sharpens your senses, deepens your intuition, prepares you to walk in rooms you once only dreamed of. And when you enter those rooms, do so not to impress, but to serve, to elevate, to bring your full whole self, not your curated self, not your performative self, but your true self. Let your work speak. Let your walk speak. Let your way of being speak. For the chosen one does not need to broadcast. The life they build, disciplined, deliberate, and dignified, becomes its own announcement. And yet, even as you rise, remain grounded. Humility is not self-erasure. It is knowing that your light was given not just to shine, but to illuminate the path for others. Use it wisely. Use it kindly. Do not mistake silence for separation. While you walk alone at times, you are never isolated from the responsibility to lift others as you climb. And lifting others does not always require words. Sometimes your very example, your choice to stay the course, to not fold under pressure, to live with quiet resolve, is the very permission someone else needs to do the same. That is legacy. Not what you leave behind, but what you ignite in others while you are still here. And you can only ignite what you embody. So embody stillness, embody strength, embody focus. Let those be the echoes you leave in the spaces you enter. Let those be the lessons etched in the lives you touch. There will be times when your silence is mistaken for submission. Let them think what they will. You are not here to correct every misunderstanding. You are here to live in truth. And truth, when lived consistently, becomes undeniable. You may not be praised for your silence, but you will be remembered for your presence. Not because it demanded attention, but because it held weight. Because it changed the temperature of the room. Because it called others to a higher version of themselves. And that, more than accolades or applause, is what the chosen live for. Not glory, but impact. Not visibility, but vision. Not recognition, but revelation. So stay the course. Do not be tempted by shortcuts or detours that promise fast rewards but erode your soul. Do not be lured by the hollow praise of the moment when the work of your life is far too sacred to trade for temporary validation. Protect what you are building. Guard it like treasure. Speak of it only when the foundation is firm, and even then, only to those who have earned the right to witness it. And if ever you find yourself weary, unsure whether the silence is worth it, remember this: there are things in this world so powerful, so tender, so transformative. They must be shaped in the dark. They must be born in stillness. They must be grown in silence. You are one of those things. You are not lost. You are becoming. And when you emerge, whole and undiminished, you will not need to announce your arrival. You will simply walk, and the world will shift in quiet recognition, not because you asked it to, but because you stayed true when it would have been easier to perform. That is your power. That is your gift. And no one can take that from you. And still the silence holds us. Not as a prison, but as a promise. Not as a void, but as a womb. Something is being born in you. Something vast and unnamed. It does not require noise to make its entrance. It will not announce itself with sirens. It will not demand the world turn its head to notice. But it will change the way the ground feels beneath your feet. It will make the wind whisper differently when you pass. That is the kind of becoming we speak of. That is the quiet revolution underway in your bones. There is a reason so many fear silence. It is not the absence of sound that unsettles them. It is the presence of themselves. In silence,